My name is Ron Green. I'm the Government Resource Programs Manager at Hallmark Cards, and I've been heavily involved in digital storytelling initiatives around Kansas City. And I want to let you know that Hallmark is very interested in advancing digital storytelling in our region. We've been working with many community partners and many educational programs to advance this cause. And so the first thing I want to make sure that we understand before we move into our next panel is, why is Kansas City an area that needs to be thinking more about growing its digital storytelling? Why our region? Well, let me start out, first of all, talking about my company, Hallmark Cards, how we're involved and how it's an important part of our growth. Many of you are familiar with our Hallmark Hall of Fame program. It's been around for years, won many Emmy Awards. So we've been in that industry for a long time. We know that industry. We're also in the television industry and cable industry through Crown Media and Family Networks. And recently, we've gotten into the development of 30-minute animated and stop-motion network specials. First this Christmas with Hoops and Yo-Yo Ruined Christmas, and also with Jingle All the Way, a stop-motion piece. Did any of you get to see either of those this Christmas season, this last Christmas season? There's more to come in the coming Christmas season. Also, Hallmark recently purchased Spirit Clips, which is an inspirational short animation and video-based story company. And we also recently purchased Shutterfly to kind of help people put together their image resources as they pull together their websites and their other types of keeping track of their family and personal history. But there are other reasons in this region why there's a growing interest in digital storytelling and growing that industry in this region. One is the University of Missouri's Media of the Future program. You met Charles earlier. He's ahead of that program, and Hallmark is partnering with them on many fronts in digital storytelling. But also, if you've been to the True False Fest in Columbia, you'll know that that's a very high quality program of short digital film. We also have AMC theaters headquartered in Kansas City, and we have some great community programs like Cinema KC, Film Commission of Greater Kansas City, and the Film Fest that's sponsored by AMC that are really promoting and advancing digital media and stories in our area. But I want to show a short little video that was developed by some Hallmark videographers, Chris Dorsey, Kevin Sizemore, and Jennifer Dreiling, that tells about an important animation legacy in Kansas City. Many of you probably know that Walt Disney started his career in animation here in Kansas City, but this tells that there's even more to that story than many Kansas City people realize. Here's that story.
Walt Disney moved here as a young boy. His father moved to Kansas City in 1909 brought the family so that he could have a Kansas City Star paper route. He went to the Benton Grade School at 31st and Benton. He went to Central High School over at, very near that neighborhood.
It is incredible how many of the crucial pioneers of the development of Hollywood animation came right out of the Truce neighborhood. And of course, Walt Disney is by far the best known. Among the people that worked with Walt Disney was Ub Iwerks, who was later regarded as the greatest animator who ever lived.
Ub, or Ubi, as he was originally called, was the son of Dutch immigrants, and he was this incredible talent. And Walt had this incredible enthusiasm, so he decided they should start a cartoon company. They finally started what was called the Laugh-O-Gram Studio over at 31st and Forest. They put this ad in the paper and they said, if you'd like to be a cartoon animator, come down to Laugh-O-Gram Studios and we will give you a job as a cartoon animator. Well, to 18-year-olds, this was fascinating, and it was a bunch of 18-year-olds that answered the call. With that kind of enthusiasm, that kind of talent in Ub, they had some great names come. Hugh Harmon and Rudolph Ising, they were two of the greatest talents that came there.
They worked on some of the earliest Disney films out in Hollywood, but they were lured away by Warner Brothers, who wanted to begin an animation division. And indeed, Hugh Harmon and Rudy Ising were the very first animators who worked for Warner Brothers. They left Warner's after that shop was set up. They were lured away by MGM, who was starting their animation division. And again, Hugh Harmon and Rudy Ising became the very first animators to work doing animation for Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer.
And they started Tom and Jerry, and they worked and trained two very young animators under them, Hanna-Barbera. You have Carl Stalling, who was the organist at the Isis Theater, who was an investor in Laugh-O-Gram.
Disney worked out with Stalling how to not just play music while you watch the movie, but to coordinate the sound effects, to coordinate the music with the action on the screen precisely. And that is something no one else had done.
Fritz Freleng did not work with them, but they knew him, so they recruited Fritz Freleng out. And of course, he would go to Warner Brothers and become one of the key animators.
Virtually the entire Hollywood animation industry can trace its roots to the Laugh-O-Gram studio on 31st and Forest Streets.
Here's Walt Disney, not really a particularly talented cartoonist, and not a really particularly talented businessman, but he'll always be known as the greatest cartoon businessman in the history of all time, and that's probably because he understood how to take the talents of people around him. Ub Iwerks as a cartoonist, his brother Roy is a businessman, but he brought them together.
The important thing is that people who have the potential to become the next Walt Disney receive the opportunity to demonstrate that talent and to cultivate that talent and to indeed go on to create great things, just as Walt Disney did. There are other Walt Disneys out there. If they get the encouragement they need, then we will all benefit tremendously.
We have a great legacy here in Kansas City for animation and for storytelling, and there are a lot of people who are in this room today who are trying to make digital storytelling build on that legacy and build something new and innovative and make this area a hub for digital storytelling. In fact, our goal is to make Kansas City and this region the Hollywood of short digital narrative production, and we encourage you to support us in that effort.